we begin with the most important week of earnings season. More than 130 S&P 500 companies reporting results, including 3 big FANG names, Facebook, Amazon, and Google. So we thought we'd play a game.
Love this stuff.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. In this week's tech reports, of those names, Facebook, Amazon, and Alphabet, which is the good, the bad, and the ugly? It's a new game, Guy. We're depending on you.
This is a new game.
Yeah. And yet an old song.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes, a classic
Can you
song,
name
if
any of
will.
the actors in Good, Bad, the Ugly?
Why do you ask me questions you know I don't know the answers for? Okay,
Oddly enough, Melissa, and I'm glad to be here on a Monday. I'm very excited to play this new game. The way you line them up on the screen is the way I would line them up in my head. The good will be Facebook. Why is that? Well, you know what? I like that when they do that. They
the whistle, too.
All the good, every the bad news they've thrown at it doesn't matter. The stock made a 50% correction of a recent move when it traded down 164 on huge volume. I've said for a while I don't want to like it, but I think it's going to retest the old highs. That's the good. The bad, Amazon, not because necessarily the quarter's going to be bad, but I think the price action might be. We pushed up against those levels we saw September, I believe, of last year, 2025. I think there's potential for a double top. That's why that's the bad. And the ugly, as much as I hate to say it, and Karen's not going to like me for this, I think Alphabet might be the ugly. And it's going to be the ugly because, quite frankly, over the last 3 or 4 quarters, it's been exactly that. I don't see any reason why it's going to change now.
Do you think Facebook could be the ugly?
I think it could be the meh. Right. I could. It could because
that's not really an option in this game, Karen.
But all right, I'm going to take a little liberty. And I am long, and so sort of begs the question: all right, if you're long and you're not that excited about earnings, why are you still long? To me, it's a much bigger story than 1 or 2 quarters. I don't like that last quarter at all. There was a lot to not like about it. And I don't know that it'll turn around right away. I'm not wildly optimistic about it. However, the valuation at this level is so compelling to me that I feel like I can wait a while and just see how. I mean, this is an extraordinary business. Trading, if you back out the cash at 16 times earnings, 16 times for this kind of business. That's extraordinary. So I'm going to hang on to that. I'm nervous about it for sure. Facebook, I'm in Guy's camp. I'm more optimistic about that. And Google, you gotta do a better job explaining yourself if you have another weak quarter, which you might, which is okay. That happens. But we need more explanation if it does.
Well, I guess, I fit somewhere in the middle. I tend to agree on Google with Karen, but, Guy had Amazon, I believe, as his bad.
Yeah.
He had Facebook as his good, and his Google was his ugly. So my good would actually be Amazon. My bad would actually be Facebook. That's what makes markets.
Right.
Which makes a good, fast money show. Here's why Amazon, I think, is good. They focused on profitability over the last, 4 or 5 quarters, much to, I think, at times disappointment because people finally were looking at this company as a growth company that stopped growing. And how do you have this multiple? But ultimately, I do think that they're going to start to give you kind of north of 20% FX neutral growth again. And I think that's really the issue. I think when I look at Facebook, despite the fact that it's been, and maybe because of it's been such a great run for the stock, the realities around the regulatory environment that the Libra coin is not a game changer for them revenue-wise anytime soon. And that you have a case where I actually think that their guidance on the expense and the expense margins continues to go through the roof. I mean, that would probably be my ugly if it wasn't for Google, which I do think is a great company and agree with Karen. The problem with Google right now and what makes this quarter ugly, not the company and not the valuation, and not a long position I have, is that I do think that there continues to be margin compression. And then Google Properties, which is supposed to be this exciting growth engine of all these great little things they own, frankly, last quarter showed deceleration, and I think it's going to be below 20% again. So until they give me something out of YouTube and until the regulatory environment changes, I think it's tough sledding.
I mean, does the setup going in terms of the price action of the stock into earnings play a role into what you decide to be good, bad, and ugly?
It does for me, absolutely. So you've taken something like Google, which is my ugly, that has lagged behind all these others. We're talking about other stocks that are near their highs. Maybe they're going to do double tops. Maybe they're going to break out. Google has lagged behind. So put that one in the ugly category until it proves itself. The other two, I think, are a little trickier. Facebook has had some decent price action recently. But also the news has been terrible on it, really, right? I mean, they've been completely under attack. Libra and the Libra coin and Calibra is probably several years away. They're trying to combine it to make it trying to compete with WeChat, this kind of super app internationally. So until that's resolved, I think there's going to be a cloud over it, but the price action's pretty decent. So put that in the middle. What is the middle?
No, there is no middle.
Well, yeah, there is.
It's
There's three.
good,
So there's a
and then
level.
bad,
Good
and then ugly.
pretty a bad and a
Good,
very
bad, and
middle
ugly.
ground.
Right.
So
right.
you think
so
Facebook
I'm going
is
to
the
go
bad.
with, and then so Facebook's the bad, and then the good. If I had a fistful of dollars, I would buy Amazon.
Oh, you see what he did there?
Yeah, you see what I did?
Even
That's a thinker.
I got that, I think.
Yeah.
That's a movie, right?
One of the movies.
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood.
Very
sure,
good, yeah.
sure. One of the actors, by the way.
Would you rank them the same way
If
the price action going into the earnings report weren't different?
so, you're changing the
I'm just,
game.
I'm just wondering, because when I asked
Wasn't that part of
PK
the
about, yeah, I mean that is.
Is it about the earnings themselves?
Going
or
into
the
earnings,
stock's
Right. So I
response?
guess the question is,
That's how I answered it.
was your ranking?
That's a great question.
guess
So if
on what the
Amazon, okay, so
earnings
no,
will
I'll
be,
play along with
or-
your reindeer games there, young lady. If Amazon was still floundering at that $1,800 level, where it traded down to, by the way, last quarter, I might give it a little bit of a
Because
different
you think
rating.
the earnings report ultimately is going to be decent, but it's the setup going in, the
That
run in
was-
the stock.
that's
How about the
what
run in
was-
the stock and Facebook going into
But
earnings?
and that's a little different because
Okay.
of all the bad news. You had that flush to the downside, retest the highs, traded down to 164. 50% retracement on monster volume. Now the stock, with a myriad of bad news, has only gone higher, which in my book makes that the good.
I don't understand how the price action for any company, if we're talking about price action, and we have a great chartist who I know is going to come here and put it really in his own words. But ultimately, if you've got a company like Amazon, which is near all-time highs again, has traded, if you look at that chart, it's almost been essentially a move to the next level higher. And if you think about what Facebook did, these are both reasons why people, I think, should be cautious. Now, of course, I was positive. I was good on Amazon and I was bad on Facebook. But Facebook's move, Brian, I think you pointed it out. I mean, if Libra coin is something that if only invites more regulatory hassle for the company, gave it I don't know, is it $30 billion in market cap based upon that move? For what? For something that's not going to move the needle?
Yeah, for me, it goes to sentiment. And I think that's what you're talking about, right? What is the sentiment going into the print? When I look at Amazon and I look at what the earnings estimates are compared to where we were the last time we were up at these prices, earnings estimates are lower. So therefore, people aren't expecting as much out of Amazon. So there's more of a potential for an upside surprise in my view. So that's how I view it.